You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy. You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a You're listening to the iRacers Lounge podcast, where we discuss everything iRacing in a casual setting. Enjoy.
To the iRacers Lounge, I'm your host, Mike Ellis. iRacers Lounge is a podcast for the iRacer, where we talk all things iRacing in a casual setting. Joining me are the usual characters, Brian McCubbin.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
David Hall.
Hey.
Greg Hectus.
Hey, everyone.
And Tony Groves.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hello, welcome guys. Almost Christmas, and we got a lot to talk about. You think it'd be slow this week, but it's not. We are sponsored, the iRacers Lounge podcast, by GridFinder. GridFinder is your go-to source for finding your next sim racing cash league. A new premium feature within gridfinder.com to promote your cash league or race to over 1,000 racers that visit every week. A low cost of $4.99 per month will allow you to feature up to 3 divisions in GridFinder's newest section. That's only $1.25 per week to make sure you have a full grid for your next cash league or race. Special iRacers Lounge offer. Sign up now and get a free week. This is only good for the rest of December, so get your cash league signed up now. GridFinder, the home of online sim racing leagues.
Well, looks like I get the first topic. All right. On the script, it actually says NIS stats, but when you take a closer look, you'll notice this is actually A-Open Season 4. We had some of the highlights were about 6,500 drivers that averaged 5 starts for the season. 120 drivers raced in 29 or more weeks. So I guess there is some overall yearly participation stats.
Well, if you look at the title of the forum, David, it actually does indicate he's on the NASCAR iRacing Series forum, so I'm not sure.
Yep, but the title of the post is Season 4 stats.
Right, he puts them out every season, and if you look closely, it has all 35 tracks listed with all the entries for the whole year.
Okay, so it may be. So 120 drivers raced 29 or more weeks, 4.5 million laps with 260,000 incidents. And you can see a trend between like 2017 season 2 to 19 season 1 to 20 season 4, and it's quite a jump. So really, in 2017, we had less than 3,000 unique drivers, and by the end of 2020, we had over 6,000 unique drivers.
Wow! And the championship results: Garrett Maines won it. With a staggering lead. His points was 82.15 over second place, which only had 69.11. So that's like 1,300 point difference.
Yeah, a lot of names that I saw a lot towards the second half of the season. All really fast drivers up there towards the top.
And then, David, you actually made one of these lists as well. You were second on most race starts with 106.
Yeah, we talked about before having extra time because we had to close the schools down in March, right? It opened up a lot more racing.
The only one who beat you is Jay Collins with 116. I made the list with 7th with most race starts with 90.
Hey guys, another thing that's really interesting about Garrett, he led the points for the cleanest driver as well. So he ran over 14,000 laps in that season and had 309 incident points in 14,000 laps.
Well, when you lead every race, how are you going to get wrecked?
Sure. Well, I'm sure lappers can cause problems too.
He had the most wins as well, 24, while the second guy had only 17. And then 47 podiums is the most as well for Garrett Maines.
And a 28% win percentage, so he's winning, more than one every 5 races.
Well, it looks like he's going to the Coke Series for sure. He's locked in, so congratulations to him. He deserves it, and he showed it this year in NIS. All right, what about the fixed? Is there anything notable there?
So, yeah, let's move over to the fixed series, guys. It was just shy of 12,000 drivers and averaging 6.3 starts each. 211 drivers raced in 29 or more weeks. So as far as the number of drivers, it almost doubles the open amount. So that's notable. And I'm wondering if with the way that they're having these new setups in the open with the top tier, top split setups, maybe that number will close, the gap will close between the two. That would be interesting to see if that happens.
I think it will. Stephen Llewellyn and I have been talking about running fixed again this year because of that. So I think me and him are going to take a shot at it, and we're going to start running fixed again. I just don't want it to be tight, and with these new setups, it probably won't.
Well, we've run the Winter Series fixed setups, and the last two have been loose. Now, they were a little caught off guard at Dover, and you had to baby it around. But last night at Pocono, it actually wasn't. It was only loose on the cold tires, and then it pretty well balanced out.
Yeah. After 2 or 3 laps, it warmed up, yeah.
So, guys, the champion for that series, for the fixed series, was none other than Casey Kerman, the Coke Series driver, with 96,000 points. The next closest was at 8,100 points. So he had a pretty comfortable lead in that race behind Ryan Duchette.
Yeah, Garrett Maines was 8th in that championship. Cool to see a lot of Coke drivers running this fixed series. I think it's neat that they're running fixed and not open. I don't think any of us made a list on any of these lists because we pretty much did run fixed.
Yeah, I was going to say Casey also led with 31 wins for the season as well. So that was a pretty hefty lead over second place with 17 was Chris Edwards.
Fixed is pretty fun, I think, in league settings if you're not also running it open for the same track every week. I remember I didn't run any fixed this year, but I'm enjoying the fixed Winter Series League. As long as it's not running the same car that I'm trying to get a set ready for.
Well, we've found this year that we've kind of just gotten away from it just because we felt more competitive on the open setups this year too, right, David?
Yeah, but I specifically remember as I kind of just quit running fixed last year that I would just hate being in the fixed setup after spending an hour working on the open setup. It was just so drastically different that I stopped enjoying.
I think the other thing for me for the fixed series too is none of the times ended up working for me. I felt like the open series worked time-wise. The fixed series times were just kind of odd times to race at.
Okay.
Except for Saturdays, but that ends up being a family day for a lot of people.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what the new times are going to be when they announce it this year.
Well, they better be the same. They've always been the same. I don't think they've changed them in a long time, so I'd be surprised if they changed.
Yeah, the only thing that might be different is they were talking earlier about adding a week for the open, adding an extra day.
You'd think they could do, like, Saturday night seems to be open. I mean, on Saturday it's probably more of a league racing night, right?
Well, there's a fixed race already on Sunday night.
I mean,
that's the last fixed race.
I said Saturday night. That's what I was saying. You got the two fixed. That's why I was wondering if they needed one more open. Saturday night's like the only time you could add it.
Yeah, there's leagues and that night's also the night for people who like actually do the social life thing, right? But we don't know what that is.
I was gonna say it probably could get away with it this year. That social lives have probably gone away for a lot of people.
In normal times, I have a lot of gigs on Saturday nights.
So this next set of stats, Tony, are kind of interesting because they combine all the oval series kind of together as a whole.
Yeah, and I mean, right at the top, we got participation history, and there's some interesting things to look at. I guess the first glaring one that I see is that we're missing season 3 for 2020, but I believe we've already looked at season 2, where it just skyrocketed. We all know why that happened. We don't need to go into that, but season 4, the expected drop off. But what I found most very interesting about this is season 4, where typically you get the lowest amount of participation, is about on par with season 1 of 2019.
Yeah.
So our lowest, numbers for the season, for the whole year, is still better than where we started for 2019.
Well, and this is the oval side, so a lot of this is that season 4 is kind of the hang-on rate of what we gained in the spring/summer with the boost too, right? Like, so we're hanging on to more subscriptions, I guess, after the summertime, because a lot of people probably, after watching the NASCAR guys do it for a bit there, they probably got the 3-month package, and it got them through till the end of the summer maybe, and just to try it out, and then if they got hooked, they got hooked. If they didn't, that's where we're seeing some of the drop off. But we always see drop off at the end of the season anyways. But like you said, Tony, we're staying where we started at in 2019. So where's 2021 gonna start at?
Well, yeah, that's just it. I mean, we're looking at about a 20,000 driver drop off from season 2, which would be March, and to season 4, at the end of season 4.
It'd be interesting to look at 2018 there. It didn't look like iRacing had any growth at all that year, oval-wise. And then obviously we got spoiled in 2019, and then 2020 in the spring got spoiled, and it's just showing here. I was just wondering what went on in 2018 there to just have it straight across the board.
Countries. I thought it was interesting which countries are oval racers. The USA 63%, Canada and Australia 6% each. So together, that's 75% among those 3 countries. It's really a North American, kind of racing, I think.
Well, and I think some of that has to do with, obviously, they've been updating the servers and stuff too, right, to make it more accessible and feasible to race properly on the other side of the world. But it's out of the States there in Massachusetts. It's kind of, you wonder what their advertising overseas can get from it. I mean, obviously their advertising is all internet-based, so you can find it at any time, so it doesn't really matter. But you just wonder, just because it's locally here, maybe that's why it's the way it is. Like, obviously, the U.S. dominates in almost all these categories for things anyways, right?
Right.
Yeah, but NASCAR is right, and NASCAR and ovals is an American iconic sport, whereas Europeans tend to favor F1. It's pretty simple. I'm sure some of the Aussie draws comes from Marco Sambros, right? Having a pretty good season that captured a lot of those guys' interests. Plus, even though they do the supercars on roads quite a bit, they have a similar personality as a country as we do.
Well, talking about that, David, Mike, obviously we're going to go to the next one here, the road stats, just to look at that stat in general. I mean, the States is still dominating the count, but not as much. The Europeans start taking over, and like European areas, and then it drops off from there. But it's like 32% for driver
For
rate
the U.S.,
in the
right?
US.
With the three countries, it's 50. When with oval, it was at 75. So, yeah, there's a much more international load there on the road side. As far as participation on the road, we're seeing the same thing we saw in the oval that Tony was pointing out of the growth, from one year to the other.
I think they're the roadside set pretty good for 2021 though too, right? So you're gonna see numbers that are gonna next year when we look back at this. I'm sure these bars will stay way up because the content that they've been able to start going through here, and it sounds like that's coming road wise, is probably going to keep a lot of people in the sim.
I think that region frequency is a little skewed by the fact that the U.S. is 50 states, and then in Europe, every state is being counted separately. I mean, most of those countries now are effectively about the same population as a state.
So you're saying if they take the whole area as Europe, as like the full amount of Europe?
If they did European Union, the numbers would look a lot different.
Add them up. Looking at the other stats on the road, nothing really jumps out at me except for one thing, and that's the full seasoner percentage, which means how many people stayed in it for the full season and what percentage based on how many people did a start. And one of the highest was obviously the IMSA race, IMSA, Le Mans, that kind of thing.
Well, the Triple Crown specifically.
35%.
That's only 3 races, yeah.
Well, the thing is that Triple Crown, only 158 people there that did the full season of it were eligible for the prize at the end then too, right? Because it was a random draw for something, so that's why it was kind of enticing, right? So after the 3 races, only of 446 people that drove, 158 stayed on to race all 3.
Well, here's something else that's pretty interesting when you're comparing roadside to oval side, and that is the total number of drivers that completed at least one full season, and the roadside has doubled the oval side, 6,000 to 12,000, for at least one full season. One other number to kind of point out is, in each of on the oval side and the road side, we've got, there's one driver that's completed over 10. It's 15 for the road and 13 full seasons for the road side. That is a heck of a lot of racing in order to fit all that in.
I'd like to know who that one driver is to complete 13 different seasons.
I probably did if you count both road and oval, because I had A Open every season.
Maybe they're talking about David.
Well, I didn't have 13 in road. I would complete an IMSA. What, A Opens?
No, I was going to say you only race like 3 different series though.
But I get a complete season in them in all 4 seasons.
Yeah, this guy did 13 road series.
Yeah, 12 weeks.
Which is hard enough to get participation in 13 different series in general. Like, obviously, those are popular series for him to find a split at the right times, right?
Well, that could be 4 IMSA series and 4 endurance series and 4 Le Mans series, right? That gives you 12 right there. You only run 6 races to compete Euro endurance.
So yeah, this is over 2020. Okay, I was thinking of it in a shorter aspect there, not. I thought it was as a smaller group there. Okay, that makes sense now.
But if you combine my road and oval, I did 12 seasons.
Okay.
Hey guys, before we move on, I just wanted to let you know that Rob Crouch is the one who is putting all these stats together for us. He's done a great job with that, and he made a note that if you, for a small donation of $5, you can private message Rob Crouch, and he will create a custom output for you and your friends if you want. So, if your name's not in the top 10, like most of us, he can create your own output of your stats for the season. You just got to direct message him, and he's asking for a $5 donation for his work.
That's fascinating and a good spend for $5, I think. I might even do that because I've gotten some really neat stats from Rob in the past on this show, specifically like how many NIS starts overall throughout the years. I think I was in the top 10. I don't know how the heck he finds those stats, but he does.
We could actually pitch in and get the entire Tifosi team on a little collection.
Yeah, Rob Crouch is definitely the man. He's from Australia. We follow him in the forums, and he provides a lot of content for the show.
Now, the other thing was, does data get collected for the hosted at all? Like, obviously we know our stuff does.
I don't think so.
So, like, obviously hosted data's got to go somewhere. It's just not public.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it is. You can go to hosted results. And it's all stored there.
How would Rob quantify that? You know?
No, I'm just saying it was just something I was thinking about.
It's not going to have the same controls, because a lot of them are just practices. So it could be any track, any car. It's a whole lot more random. Something that's not random though is how good the schoolyard setups are. If you're struggling to crawl into the top 10 in Road Pro, or you're always in the back of the Xfinity Series, or can't find that extra 10th to compete for the wins in the iRacing Series, visit schoolyardsetups.com to get the race-ready setups for NASCAR A, B, and C Series each week. Enter the referral code LOUNGE with a capital L when you sign in, and let them know you heard about it from iRacers Lounge podcast. Don't get bullied around on the racetrack again. Get your sets today at schoolyardsetups.com.
And a quick note on this, Mike Morley, the guy behind this, he ran in one of the hardest races of the year this week, and he was leading laps in a schoolyard setup with no front end. He had the front end knocked off of that, and he was legitimately leading that race, a cash race that we're going to talk about later in the show.
And I was talking to Mike today. He's also revamped his website. He now offers a roadside for the IMSA series. So he's got the Corvette, the LMP2, the Lamborghini, and I think those are the three cars, if I remember correctly, that he's added to it for now. Oh, and the Ferrari, sorry. And that's what he's going to do on the roadside to start up that side. But he's revamped his whole website. He's made a different incentive for referrals, for referring or even your own friends and stuff like that. So check out schoolyardsetups.com and get in there and try these setups, because especially coming, we got one this weekend for the MTech series too as well from him that we gonna try and win with, right, David?
Yep.
Okay, so just in time for the holidays, staff member Otto Zabeni let everyone know in the forums that their merchandise page, so their iRacing official merchandise, has been updated with some new products. So we had talked about before that their merchandise has been lacking a little bit, so they put a few new things in there for you. One of them is Neck Gator, iRacing Neck Gator, so you can save the world and promote iRacing at the same time.
I love the mask with the iRacing logo. That's great.
Yeah, there's some a nice polo shirt and a pullover jacket that looks really nice. Some of the other stuff I've seen before, but yeah, so go check it out. The iRacing store. That you can, I think you get through the forums, right? Is there a link through the forums or in the main webpage?
Yeah, it's at r-raceware.com is the actual website. You can search auto. Of course, you can go to our script and get the link. I think the new items are the seasoned t-shirt and the seasoned hoodie, which have the iRacing logo, but it's kind of like looks worn. Kind of a neat look. The other thing I think is new might be the beanie, which is like a stocking cap.
The both of those hoodies that they have optional, like any of their hoodies are are really nice looking. They have all kinds of nice merchandise here. It looks like the dirt stuff is the most popular because it's all sold out.
I mean, there's a backpack and there's a polo. Now, I like collared shirts, so the polo it's kind of a gray with the gray iRacing logo on the patch on the corner on the breast. $65, but man, it looks really nice.
Even their baseball caps are nice too.
It needs some muscle shirts.
Just get the season shirt and cut the sleeves off.
Snip, snip.
And we found a different place selling merch.
So
Greg.
teesprings.com. It looks like they have some slogan T-shirts that they're offered. It's kind of, they got T-shirts, long sleeve shirts, sweaters, but it just has popular iRacing sayings. So obviously things that we collect a lot, 4Xs, right? There's one other shirt.
4X, yep.
What it needs, though, is just like a little feather next to the 4X.
Kind of an inside joke. If you wear a shirt that has a big old 4X on it, nobody would know what that is unless you're an iRacer, you know?
I like that when nothing goes right, go left.
I like the one that says, blame it on netcode.
Yes, I like that too.
I kind of like their logo is fun, an interesting logo. The Sim Racing shirt shop where they got the old, it looks like the Denny Hanlon setup on the T-shirt.
Yeah, that's the name of the teespring.com. It's called the Sim Racing Shirt Shop, and so that's how you find this stuff.
Definitely check it out. These look like some really good stuff, and the prices aren't that bad.
Okay, so this next series of segments is, what do you think of? Why? Because we just had Build Week, and so we've had a lot of reaction from the different new content. And of course, let's start with the track formerly known as Coke Speedway. I guess they call it the iRacing Super Speedway. And I guess first I'll say I'm still surprised that Coke still isn't on board on this. If it hasn't happened by now, I'm kind of worried that it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm just shocked that that wasn't all pre-approved before the release. It sounds like it wasn't pre-approved and somebody got wind of it or something. I don't know. It's very odd.
Well, what happened was they need to see the thing in full, so obviously you can't do it till the build's complete. And obviously some sort of hiccup happened there where they just can't put their name on it yet. So hopefully they can get involved with it. But if not, I guess it's their loss. iRacing can do whatever they want with it, brand-wise, I guess.
Now, iRacing put up a couple Twitters with some videos of the track that was put out, some onboards showing, up to 250 mile an hour in the A car at the end of the straight. I ran this a bunch, and we'll talk about it in results. But we also had some funny stuff on Twitter as well, Tony.
Sorry, Tony. I was going to say I ran it a few times. What blew my mind with that track was just how tall the banking was.
Oh, when you first saw it?
I'm trying to think of how hard would it be to actually build this track in real life, because I know when they have to do the banking at some of the tracks, they have to use special equipment to do it. That banking might be really hard to create if they ever did decide to do something that big.
It would require a lot of dirt. I don't know if you could just do that with struts.
I honestly don't think they would ever do it either, because they're trying to slow the cars down, not give them something that goes faster.
It looks like a wall when you're coming off pit road. It looks just a wall standing.
It is a wall. Yeah, that's what it does look like. And I was going to say, I did a ride around at Daytona several years ago, and when I went down the backstretch and I saw that wall of banking going to the left, it freaked me out. It looks like a giant wall that looks like 8 stories high or something. So that's Daytona. Can you imagine what this would look like? It's like 3 times as big.
Tony, do you like drinking out of cans?
Nope, I'm a bottle man. But We got a tweet from Lefty Designs. It says he's cracking open a cold one with the sim racers at iRacing Super Speedway. I'm sure that would have been replaced with a can of Coca-Cola had things been different, but he's got himself a can of iRacing Cola.
Pretty cool.
That'd be kind of neat if this was a thing. Yeah, throw it up on a shelf.
Maybe a beer instead. Maybe it could be a can of beer.
Well, it should be a can of beer.
Microbrewery.
So maybe iRacing can get some other kind of merch. Maybe some iRacing beer. There you go.
Well, guys, we all know that the Cup cars are quite a lot of fun on the Coca-Cola Speedway, but Jordan Worth, he's from Bottom Split, he tried the Pro Trucks on it, and boy, was there a bug. We have a picture on the website page with this bug, and the rear axle is completely to the left of the car by a good couple of feet, and the right front is it's a mess. So apparently they have some bugs to work out with the Pro Trucks on that track. Probably not the track you would normally think using a Pro Truck on, but I mean, what the heck? It's week 13. You might as well have some fun with it. But yeah, so obviously there's some bugs to work out with some of these odd combinations people are coming up with.
It's crazy, that tire that's so far away and it's still connected. It looks like it stretched the axle or something. It's weird.
It reminds me of a really gory sci-fi horror movie type thing, where the tendrils of something dead is stretched really far. But they were running the Pro Trucks for the ridiculousness season this time around to test the new iRating system where different tracks count towards different iRatings.
There are some really big wrecks at this track. I had a couple replays that were just amazing. Like they would pile up at the start. You know, the start. That happened a bunch at this track. And just because of the speeds, I think, is what causes these kind of weird things. Because if you hit like the pit wall or something going 250 to 0, it's quite an incident.
This video that we actually have next, we call it the Cup Car McTwist, and this is actually in the Not Top 10 video as well. And I didn't hear it when I watched it on the Not Top 10 with the commentary, but it's pretty crazy because I didn't realize this was for the win. This 10 car hits a car and does a barrel roll, lands on his feet and continues going.
They call it the Double McTwist Big Mac with extra tomato.
Yeah, this was, yes, I'm assuming Alex Horn probably did the editing on this because it's like the commentary was taken from like probably one of those X Game type of either surfboard deals or snowboard deals where people are doing tricks, and they just edited the sound onto this on this car doing a barrel roll at 250 miles an hour.
That would make more sense because it wasn't actually a double-double. It was just a corkscrew.
It was, if you watch it on that top 10, there's no commentary. It's just the normal playback. I think they were just having some fun with this, using some X Game type commentary to go along with this crazy move here.
So basically, he clips a car that he tries to avoid a wreck, and it just catches his right front just enough to just twist it up into the air, upside down and around, and he lands it on the wheels and keeps on going. Crazy stuff. So let's shift gears. Brian, what do you think of the IR01?
So guys are putting up some videos and some things regarding the new IR1. They're testing it out at different places. And Kurgan Garage posted a video of the IR01 at Bristol, and it flies around there in under 10 seconds. So that bad boy can roll around Bristol.
He's flat out. He's not lifting.
It's crazy.
I would say the interesting thing might be What if he had a mixed race? He put these on with something that's slower and just see how the carnage would go.
Mazda.
A few months ago, I ran the sprint car at Bristol, and I was amazed by the lap time. And I want to say it was a 13-second lap. And at the time, I was saying, I don't think there's any oval car that's faster than that. And I think this one obviously beat it at 9.9 seconds.
I think the Cup cars do it in 14 seconds. Like some of them can go around, but that's the fastest we can get.
And remember, the IRO one is not an oval car.
That's true.
The modified is the fastest oval car there, isn't it?
I don't know. Maybe it is.
Or the
I think I tried that.
I don't think it matters. This thing just dominated no matter what it did.
Pretty much. Hey guys, does any of you guys have owned the IRO one yet?
No.
I have. I turned a couple laps. It's an interesting car to drive. It's going to be a little bit to get used to, but I haven't had much time on the sim with a lot of this stuff. But definitely a fun car.
Yeah, I have it too, and I tried it out at a couple tracks. I tried it at the Spa, and I compared the time between that and the Toyota Williams F1 car that's on the service, and just to see how comparable they were in speed. And I actually wound up running about 3 seconds faster in the Formula One car. Yeah, the Formula One was actually a little faster. It was the corner speeds was what did it. You could hold the corner at a higher rate of speed in the Formula One car than you could this. But I think the speed, the straightaway speed was probably a little higher in this car. So it was really cool. Another thing that I didn't realize until I got in the car was it doesn't have rear view mirrors on it. If you happen to take a look, there's no mirrors sticking out the side. They're actually projected on the windscreen of the car. So it's like a mirror that's a video screen on the windscreen of the car.
It's like a heads-up display.
Yeah, exactly. One on each side of your cockpit for the left and right hand side. So that I didn't even notice that until I was in the car looking for mirrors and noticed the screen projected on that windscreen. It was really cool.
So that's like how they do with the GT cars. They got a screen in the car instead. They're using a camera to project rear mirrors. So now they're using that just as the mirrors on the as the heads-up display. I wonder why. I guess obviously aero-wise is why they're keeping the mirrors off the car.
Oh, well, the GTs, they're mid-engine. Some of them are mid-engine or rear engine that they don't have a window in the back at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, they usually have the camera right in the front cockpit, right?
Yeah, they're in the dash.
That's how the Lamborghini is. That's how that's it too.
It's an interesting technology. I don't know if it's obviously it's something. It would be interesting if that actually was some way that they develop it that way down the road if they ever did something with this car.
That's too bad the Majors calendar was already announced, because I'm sure they would love to go ahead and put this car in there.
So they're working on the car still. Joel Keller, which is a fairly new name to me anyway. He is a staff member at iRacing. He was the engineer who worked on this car. He's responded to some of the community feedback and has made changes to the handling, steering speed, and force feedback as a result. And will keep making adjustments as more feedback comes in. So that's good to hear that they're not, one and done. They're going to keep tweaking it.
They could only test it so far. Now you're into the best people to test it, the whole community, right?
Yeah, and he's getting a lot of feedback. That forum thread is full.
I haven't seen what the participation for those races are this week, but I bet you they're pretty up. They're like the start of this week have been pretty full.
But it's pretty neat that he started the thread himself and said, "Look, I'm looking for your feedback. Give it to me," and they did.
Speaking of feedback, Ryan Hunter-Ray was very impressed with Long Beach. He dropped a tweet and said the latest from iRacing is incredible. He's been missing Long Beach like no other. They nailed it. Very impressed.
It might be the only time he gets to race it this year.
They announced yesterday, I think, that the IndyCar is going to run it at the end of the season, like in September.
Okay, so they moved it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, at least that tries to get them, on all their tracks to get all the different tracks that they were trying to race at this year.
Who better to say if they nailed it or not than Ryan Hunter-Reay? He's probably got more laps at Long Beach than anybody alive I can think of, besides his fellow competitors. But yeah, I mean, he's definitely the guy that would know, and he said he loved it, and he showed a picture of his triples and everything. So,
I wonder what.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Brian.
Rick, sorry.
I was going to say, I'm wondering what setup of wheel that is that he's got there. It's hard to see in the picture.
It's pretty dark, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping with this track is pretty successful, and it opens up some more possibilities with street tracks in the future. So, guys, some of the other new content that's come out, and people have been giving some feedback on, is Cedar Lake Speedway, the dirt track in Wisconsin. So some of the drivers noticed that while they're running the big black modifieds at the Cedar Lake Speedway, that ruts are actually being created in the corners, and it's making the racing even more enjoyable for them. So and Tyler Hudston hopped into that forum thread, and he said that apparently the weather and the construction of the big block modified tires is playing a major role in the creation of these ruts. And, man, that's pretty cool, because I've never seen ruts be created in any of the other dirt tracks before. And it adds a different element for a grip, in these race cars. New lines and stuff like that can be created. It's pretty cool.
And then Mike Watson detailed a little more about it in the thread. He said, but we did make some changes to the tire construction within that model, the same one they uses on other dirt cars, with the end result that it works very differently in some regards than do the other dirt tires. We would like to extend this to the other cars to see if the results carry over, and we have begun to look into that possibility. So they really like what this new dirt tire is doing on this car, apparently.
Yeah, and I actually have a little bit of history of running dirt tracks up here in Pennsylvania in some 600cc micro sprints, and the cars that we used to race with were some of the street cars that were just like four bangers that would with the hard tires that would just rut the heck out of the track, and it always made for interesting racing when you followed those cars. So it's pretty cool that they're adding that to the sim.
Well, along with that cool stuff with the tires and the ruts, we got a bug at Cedar Lake, and it's a wall bug. So people have found out that it has a small 1.5 foot gap in the wall at the flag stand that's causing cars to be unrealistically launched sideways when they hit it. Staffer Michael Berg is aware of the issue, and it'll be addressed in an upcoming patch.
Yeah, there is a replay, a GIF there, where you can see he doesn't even really he's right along the edge of the wall, but yeah, it definitely launches him when it probably shouldn't.
Yeah, I read through this forum quite a bit. So that 1.5 foot gap at the flag stand is actually there in real life, they said. So it's not that it was incorrectly drawn or anything. It's just the way that it's being modeled when these cars are coming by it. They said that wouldn't do it. They also said it didn't notice it in like the modifieds because of the fenders on the car, but the sprint cars with the open wheel are catching that little gap there, and it's just launching these cars sideways unrealistically, and it needs to be fixed. And apparently they're going to get to that real soon.
Guess we're on to the Pit Box NASCAR edition. Alex Horn tweeted an interesting video here of one of the K&N cars sliding down the track. Is this Atlanta? Or, sorry, Texas. No, it's Texas. Sorry.
Oh yeah, Texas.
But he slides down and ends up in his own pit stall after wrecking, which I don't know how you get your own pit stall and perfectly park it. Obviously, he's going to get a penalty for the way he came to pit road, but he's getting serviced.
The car does 3 spins, I count. 3 different spins, and he just almost perfectly lands in his box. He's a little to the right, but it was close. And we saw something like this a couple weeks ago on the roadside. I think it was the MX-5 at Lime Rock, where the same thing happened. He spun, and it spun a few times, and he landed in his box. Well, this is the NASCAR edition of that, apparently.
Well, he was well enough in the box that it started pitting him. Actually, it probably started his penalty because he's going to have probably speeding and unsafe entry.
Yeah, I think that's he's going to be on pit road for a bit. How do you pronounce this guy's name?
Alejandro Rusil.
Okay, there you go. That's how you would do it.
That's the driver.
Yeah, that's the member who had this unfortunate accident or good video.
I think this one made the not top 10 as well, but Alex Horn put these out as individual videos earlier in the week before he released that.
And Alex Horn did more video or audio editing on this one, just like he did with the tomato McTwist deal. So he actually is doing a little fun editing with this to go along with the video.
He's got the dancing pit crew.
Those are almost more top 10 videos than not top 10. I mean, that one and the corkscrew were pretty amazing.
Yeah, but you don't want to admit it's technically a not top 10 because it basically ends your race.
Yeah. So we did get a pretty quick patch. Don't have to read all the patch notes to you, but the biggie was they went ahead and put out iRacing Speedway with it and some UI tweaks, 3D car tweaks.
There was another big bug in this one, David, where if you were joining a race that had multiple cars and you didn't own all the cars, it wouldn't let you race.
Well, they fixed that before the patch. They actually fixed that server side because, I don't know if you remember, but on Monday,
they would have had
right, we had it. Or no, on Wednesday we had the Winter Series race, and everybody was wondering if we were going to be able to run it because if you didn't own all 3 Cup cars, it was telling you were going to have to buy content. And literally, right about the time that it opened up for registration in the league sessions, it switched and fixed. And yeah, Sam Rouse was in the server or on Discord. I think he said that it was something they were able to just fix on the server side.
Well, they kind of had to because they were going to look at some really pissed off customers that either weren't going to get a chance to race at all until it was fixed, or they were going to end up purchasing stuff and then asking for refunds later, which wasn't going to help them either, right?
Well, that would cost them some transaction fees, but no, they got on it as quick as they could and didn't even have to bring the servers down to do it.
All right, guys, let me take a stab at this. Mike Ouellette, I think is this the way you pronounce his name?
Ouellette.
Yes.
Ouellette.
Okay, Ouellette. I need some Canadian help there. Mike Ouellette announced in the forums that after a 2-year break, the World Cup of iRacing will be returning to the service. So the World Cup of iRacing, if you didn't know, it's a club competition. So you're racing for the club that you come from. So I would be racing for Pennsylvania, and you guys would be racing for your respective clubs. And it's to find out which club has the most depth of talent across a wide variety of iRacing discipline. So I know that in the past, this is going to be the 11th year it's being held. In the past, only two clubs have ever won this before. Finland has won the most, and Germany has won the second most. I think they've won 4 times, and Finland has won 6. So they're going to be bringing that back starting this year.
So anybody who's joined iRacing in the last 2 years probably has never heard of this, but World Cup has been around, from when I started. And when I first started, this was a thing. And when we had major events throughout the year, they were part of the World Cup. And so that's obviously changed over the years, but it's kind of neat to see this come back. Will they get any participation, though? That's the question.
Well, this is kind of like the series that I participated in the fall there, that one-day event, the VCO Cup. So
yeah. Wait, is this put together privately, or is it something iRacing is hosting?
It's private. I mean, it's the guy who does the major series. He's the one who organizes it. But in the past, he's done it. He did it on his own. Michael Lett did it on his own with iRacing's blessing. Like they were having him run the special events. Like iRacing didn't put on special events, only he did. But obviously that's changed, so yeah, check it out. Let's keep moving. I got a listener email from Tyler Williamson, and he wanted to let us know a few things. Let me read a few things here. He said, I joined iRacing in April and absolutely love it. Your show has really helped me keep me on track with good and bad equipment and things to stay focused on. So many tips you guys have shared, and the feedback is amazing. He asked us, hey, would it be cool to have some official iRacers Lounge livery on trading paints for listeners so you could use to help promote and spread the word? So I talked to Bobby Jonas over at Sim Wraps, and I think he's been working on it. Did he finish, Greg? Or?
He's actually put out, he's been showing us the base that he's got together that he's going to kind of transfer and adjust for each car. And he's specifically designing one that is only iRacers Lounge, doesn't have any Defosi logos or any of our other sponsors on there, so that it cleans up sponsorship issues. And yeah, so he's still working on them. There's some really neat designs.
Yep, so thanks, Tyler, for the idea. We're actually going to implement that. So it's not out yet, but we'll get it. He also says, currently I'm saving for direct drive, but until that happens, I'm on an 80-20 rig by 4Play Racing using a Spectra Ultra-Wide with the G27 wheel and shifter, using an i7 HP Omen with a 2070 RTX. Thanks, Tyler. And Greg, you called your first race.
It was Saturday was a day of helping out, I guess. I had to help out Mike Morley as a spotter beforehand for his the Snowball Derby qualifying race, and then Chris messaged me about, I don't know, I say about 5 hours before the Ladies of iRacing Ugly Sweater race at Michigan in the street stock, and I said okay, because I guess Tony, you had company or something, you couldn't make it.
Yeah, Lisa was racing that race, and we had company over that day that we just could not change those plans. So I was entertaining.
Well, we were getting thoroughly entertained with that race. It was a awesome race to just watch in general. That was probably their best race that they've put on all season. But I think that car track combo for them suited them, and I had fun with Tony and Chris in the booth trying it out for the first time. It's really hard to call. I give you guys credit because it's really hard to call the race when you're not knowing what's being broadcasted.
Yeah, there's definitely some challenges that come along with that. With that race there, I was actually able to catch probably a solid 2/3 of it, the last 2/3. And yeah, those ladies put on one heck of a show. Hands down, easily said their best race so far. So their future is looking bright if they keep along, the path that they're on. You guys did a great job in the booth. The guests that I had over, they're not race fans. They don't really want anything to do with it. They watched along with me, and they were actually getting right in it. If Lisa wasn't racing, I don't think I could have got them to sit there through it, but they were laughing along to you guys, doing the thing up in the booth, and then the moves were being made, and girls getting punted around, and when some good passing and stuff were happening, they were really engaged, and that was that was a really cool thing to see. Just non-fans, just starting to get right into it. So it's a good job for all you guys all around, the ladies, you guys up in the booth. It was a lot of fun.
I watched as a spectator and just watching because I want to watch my boys and see how they do. But I tell you what, I got to call out Lisa. She was going to win that race. I guarantee it. I mean, there was the last restart. She was coming on that leader. She made a nice move to the inside. That leader took her out, like literally just turned left into her. They both went down into the grass. I don't think it was a mistake. She took her out.
No, Mike.
Hey, if I'm not going to win, you're not going to win. It was one of those kind of things.
That was Jess and Casey, what was her? It was Wooten and Marshall that got into each other in the wall. Lisa came in afterwards, and she had nowhere to go. But what Mike's describing is, I thought we were going to get the pass in the grass the way they were beating and banging down the backstretch.
It was crazy.
They wrecked going into 3 and 4 on the last lap, and these two, Jess and I think it was, the name slips me here, but anyways, they went down into the grass, and they went all the way back up the track and basically collected everybody behind them except Danielle Rutherford, who won the race.
It was like fifth or something, right?
Yeah, she was, and I think she was. The interesting fact is too, she kind of just hung around for the rest of the race, because I think on the first lap she spun out into turn, just spun it going into turn 3 and 4, and kind of just self-spun and had a couple cars collect something afterwards. But the rest of the race, she kind of was just there, but she wasn't pushing or anything, and she just was in the right place at the right time for her.
So we spoke a little bit about some of the painting earlier. I have been enjoying the ability to do the 3D car viewer, but this one's a little bit more about the in-game painting system. Greg West posted that the guys at iRacing aren't satisfied with their current painter, and in fact have been working several weeks to make it better, but it's far along, but it's not quite ready for the build, and they're going to release it before the next season. It's going to have the 3D car viewer built in, so you don't have to jump back and forth between the paint kit and car info to be able to see your changes.
So you're painting the car, and you can see the 3D model literally as you paint it.
So they're basically taking that template instead of... Are they creating their own program to paint with then? Because
it'll be in the new UI, I presume.
I don't know how that's going to work, because a lot of people use specialty stuff to do it.
Well, right now you basically can change the colors and select between different pre-planned default schemes. They may be planning on adding more features to it. I mean, you can always still go in, even whether they add this or not, you can always still use trading paints. It's not going to replace it. I think they just want to make it better than it is now.
Yeah, I think that's right, Dave. I think they're just using their existing painting system with the pre-made designs and patterns, and they're just revamping it and making it a little bit better.
Okay, that makes sense. I understand what they're saying now.
Adding the 3D viewer to it as well should be really nice.
One note about the 3D viewer, it tripped up a couple of us, I think Adam and I, in trading paints, there's a check mark that if you have it checked, it actually deletes the paints out of the folder every time you exit the sim. So then if you launch the 3D viewer, it won't show you your Trading Paints paint because it's been deleted. So you have to go into Trading Paints and uncheck that check mark to use the 3D viewer to view a Trading Paints paint.
I don't think it actually works that way, though. What Trading Paints does is it only deletes the folder when you join another race at the same track.
It only will keep it. If I remember correctly, it keeps it. If you're not doing anything else in the sim, it'll get rid of it. Because it's checked. It's when in not use, I think is what it says. I'm just looking up here. What's the check? Advanced options, cleanup drive existing paints files before fetching new paints. Cleanup download
It's the
files.
other one. It's the cleanup downloaded files when I exit iRacing.
So basically, if you have both those clicked, it's good to keep your folders neat then. Like, that'll keep the folders neat. If you click the one cleanup downloaded files when it exit, any cars that you raced in that race, if you don't race them in the next race, it won't get rid of them. You'll just basically build up a folder of all the cars you race against. So there's two options you can do. You can unclick that, or you can just turn your Trading Paints off and just use and when you're saving the thing, just save it under your iRacing number, whatever your account number is.
In the folder.
Yeah, and that's the easiest way to do it without changing your settings on Trading Paints. Just make sure you turn Trading Paints back on when you're ready to go again after you've loaded it. It's just,
I have noticed that it actually delete the files when I've entered a server. I didn't realize it would cut them at the same time. But yeah, that's what I always do. Is just if I'm painting, is close Trading Paints while I'm doing it.
Yeah, that's what I've always done too. Is just because then you can create your own. Because the thing is Trading Paints is always going to keep looking for stuff when you're doing it too, because you're not loading it into Trading Paints, you're just saving it into the folder anyways. You might as well turn Trading Paints off.
Yeah, anytime before the 3D viewer was around, anytime you loaded a test session, as soon as you entered the test session, it would start downloading your Trading Paints paint. So if you were making a new one, it would end up replacing it.
I think this was like one of all the things in the build. Obviously, we got a lot of changes. I wasn't on the show, able to make the show last week, but this here is one of those things that they kind of hid from us they were doing. But it's kind of like it's such a nice change to help the community and make things a little bit smoother when you're trying to get because painting a car in sim sometimes is hard too, going back and forth. It's nicer if you can fine tune and move the car around with the mouse. I think it's a lot nicer to at least get to like a 95% range of the paint job and then go into the sim to finally fine tune it.
Well, I haven't had to really go into the sim to fine tune it other than to get some quote prettier shots. It actually gives you a pretty good idea of what it's going to be. When you swap in your paint files, your actual paint file, it instantly changes it. You don't have to refresh, but I have discovered that I have to refresh it to make it load a new spec map.
So what, do you refresh it on the screen?
I'll click. There's two choices there, like car info and car paint, or the 3D viewer that are kind of right next to each other. And I'll just jump to one or the other, and it just reloads the 3D viewer.
Well, how about some 8K video? Wow. Yeah. Sebastian Kimel posted a video of the Lamborghini at Long Beach in true 8K resolution, which means absolutely zip to me on my like 700 by 1388 cheapo TV. But for those of you that can run that resolution, hell, even half that resolution, probably a good-looking video.
I'm surprised YouTube even supports this, but sure enough, it's a YouTube video, and you click on it, and it definitely says 4320p, which is 8K.
Which is ridiculous. But it's the road we're heading down eventually, right? With these graphics cards getting better and everything, and TVs and monitors starting to get cheaper. This is where you're gonna get the true look of racing.
Pretty cool.
So we've got Autosports announces on Twitter a new category in the Autosports Awards of 2020, the Esports Driver of the Year. And they tweeted out the inaugural winner of it is Sebastian Job for the Porsche Tag here iRacing Super Cup Championship. So they posted it on the Autosports Twitter page. So congratulations, Sebastian. Well deserved, and that's a good title to have.
I love this how Autosport, which covers real-life motorsports, they recognize esports is important. It's a big part of motorsports now, especially after what's happened in 2020. And it's good to see that they, are recognizing these guys.
It's been a fantastic year for me. Something
Well, and you got to think of it. He's driving. Sorry, Brian. He's driving for like the Red Bull sponsorship. Like it's more publicity for Red Bull too, and all the things that he's sponsored by. Like it's a great look for iRacing and what he's done.
Okay. Next up is trophy time for Tucker. Tucker Minter, who is the winner of the Corvette Championship Series, he posted up on Twitter a photo of his prize. And boy, does this look nice. It looks like a watch. I can't really tell. And it's got maybe some kind of iRacing coinage next to it in a nice little box with checkered flag on it. He also has a helmet that has the iRacing logo on it as well.
Wasn't it a Rolex watch?
It might be a Rolex.
I can't remember if it was a Rolex or not that they were giving. It's awesome though.
A pretty nice flag though. But congratulations, Tucker Minter.
All right, guys. So the iRacing Chili Bowl Nationals are actually underway right now. And we're posting this even though it's really not technically too late to get on board in the qualifying sessions. The way that they're running this is each night since the new build week started, or finished, I should say, is that at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, they have a race session that anybody can jump into, and they will tabulate the points throughout the week of those races, and which will culminate in a Saturday super session, with the top 60 drivers in points throughout the week are going to vie for the champion of the Chili Bowl Nationals. So it's not really too late. You can get into night session. You still got an hour if you want, and then you've got another night tomorrow to get some points, as many points as you can to try to qualify for that.
It's amazing how the super session has worked out perfectly for the Chili Bowl. I mean, it with the way you race throughout the week, just like the real Chili Bowl, and you're trying to get into the main event, and the super session is the main event. So like the functionality they built for the super session is like perfect for this Chili Bowl format.
Yeah, and with 60 drivers in the championship, they're going to have several of the latter heat sessions to eliminate people to make it to the finals. And I'm assuming this might be one of the reasons why the World Outlaw Series race was off this week. The series is off this week. They'll resume Monday night for the World Outlaws iRacing Series at Weed Sport.
So, want to save your tires? You do have to worry about this if you're not at dirt. I thought we had gotten to this, but I guess we hadn't. David Schildhouse posted a YouTube channel on his YouTube channel, a video showing 3 tips on how to save tires. We'll let you watch the video to give you the tricks, but we just 2 weeks ago talked about one of those tricks when we were talking about the steering ratio.
Yeah, I probably need to watch this video myself. I'm not very good at saving tires. I haven't watched it, but I need to.
I got to tell you, I watched this video about a week or so ago, and Monday night race that we had for the OBRL, I tried using some of these tactics, and I think I did better with tire wear. I've always been awful with tire wear, and typically I could run with the leaders for a while, and then my tires just start going away, and they just pull away. Well, this past Monday race, I'll talk about a little bit more. Man, I was able to hold with the leaders and didn't have any tire wear issues that I typically do where I start falling off the pace. So I actually tried using some of these tactics a little bit. Some of it might be like common sense things to know, but it's just nice to see it in a well put together video.
Yeah, I've been doing the higher steering ratios since before iRacing came out. It worked. It helps with tire wear even back in R Factor, and so that's there. There's some people who really like that faster speed, and some of it will come down to the rig setup and driving styles. Adam likes to run that lower steering ratio.
Oh man, it's crazy. He does 8-to-1 or something.
But he's started working on running it higher. Even in the short tracks, I like to run it at 14. Unless I think even at Martinsville, I'm able to control it really well at 14. Road courses, I usually do 10 or 12. It's probably has to do with, especially if your wheel's older and you don't have a whole lot of force feedback or weight to the wheel. It's just really easy to overturn the wheel and not really feel how hard you're scrubbing those tires. Another tip and trick that he doesn't cover is turn your engine sounds all the way down and your tires all the way up, and you'll hear how much harder you're working your tires.
I have done that. I turn up the tires all the way. Okay, let's keep moving. These are quick hits. We're going to go quickly through these, but iRacing has announced several giveaways. I'll take the first one. It's called Turn Racing. You can win an R20 Evo wheel. Just place your Turn Racing logo found in the iRacing paint shop on any car in the primary location. Race in at least 10 official races in Season 1, and you're automatically entered to win the R20 Evo steering wheel.
That's pretty cool, and it's simple enough to do. You know,
It doesn't say official races, yeah.
Yeah, any official race. It doesn't limit you to any type of particular style of racing that you might not be well versed at.
And even though you're running trading paint, you can still put the Turn Racing logo on the car in the iRacing paint shop. Even though you'll never see it, you'll still qualify to be entered for the prize.
Well, here's another fairly easy one. SimLab is giving away one of their SimLab P1X sim racing chassis during Season 1. And to enter that one, you got to race in the SimLab Production Car Challenge, but each completed race is an entry into the raffle. And so the more you race, the more chances you have to win.
Well, I'm willing to give up 80 iRating just to get an entry for that rig. So maybe I'll do that tonight.
Well, that's a road car.
Yeah.
And that doesn't seem like it's tied to any sponsorship on your car either. It's just
no, you just have to
race in their series, yeah.
Yeah, so no logo needed there.
The P1X is a great rig. I've been enjoying it.
So Heiskenveld is giving away a set of Heiskenveld sprint pedals during Season 1 the Season 1 of the 2021 season for the Heiskenveld GT Challenge. So each completed race is an entry into the raffle for the pedals. So
Wow.
that's pretty good.
I'll give up another 80 iRating and get an entry for that one.
If Mike's going to be down to 0 iRating and we're trying to get free stuff.
Hey, I want to do some Sith Labs, and I want some Heiskenvelds.
iRacing's version of microtransactions. Buy equipment with iRating.
Nice.
So we got another one coming up. So this is for Apex Racing Academy. So if you place the Apex Racing Academy logo, that's also found in the iRacing paint shop, on any car in the primary location and race in at least 10 official races in Season 1 2021, you're automatically entered to win one of the 5 Apex Racing Academy prizes. Now, they were kind of vague on what the prizes are from what I saw in the forum posts. Yeah, I'm trying to find where it says how much. It says something about how much they're spending on it. I'm going to look at that.
1,850 pounds.
There you go. Well, I found the prizes. First place is 3 hours of one-on-one coaching in a supported car of your choice, and 1-year silver subscription to Apex Racing Academy, 1-year subscription to SDK Gaming, and free entry into the Apex Racing League series of your choice.
All right,
Pretty
there
cool.
you go. Yeah. So it's great that these companies are sponsoring these series and doing these giveaways. It's so good.
And will it drive participation? Well, it looks like it might drive me to participate in a road series I would never touch with a 10-foot pole. So it seems to be working.
Well, we already got to cover 2 of the videos in the not top 10, but here they are, December's top 10. The one that right off the beginning is a guy who has a pretty strong 4-speed back wheel, gets a crack in the jaw.
Wow. He looked like he got hurt.
Broke a little bit too late and I punched my face.
I think I showed a video with was a lady that got she bent over and the wheel did that quick twist of direct drive and it cut her head open.
And he was just driving and just let go of the wheel, so he needs to work on the seat position, I think. There was a Mazda that actually hops, I think it's Charlotte, completely hops the fence and ends up on half a lap ahead. And I'm wondering if he would have actually gotten a black flag for it or not.
Half a lap ahead, but going the wrong direction.
Yeah, he had to turn around. I guess that's right at Heartburn Turn, right? On turn 1 at the Roval. He just hopped over to the exit. Yeah, that's great.
The one that I like is the Laguna Seca at the corkscrew. This shows an in-car of them, cycling down through the corkscrew, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, here comes a car from behind that totally didn't even brake and just plows through. It's crazy.
He just missed it by that much. At the hairpin in Long Beach, this is a weird accident with 4 cars going in there kind of 3 wide, and one just doesn't make the turn and hits the wall straight on, and then all the cars bounce back, and it just doesn't look natural. It's weird.
It's almost like they all were like rubber there when they touched the tire. Like the tire walls don't simulate very well, so it kind of looked bad, but it just wasn't a very good accident for that track. I'm hoping someday that those tire barriers start becoming like, act like a tire barrier.
Well, most of the tire barriers, when you hit them, you kick out, but you don't kick out that hard, right? It absorbs a lot of shock and then pushes you out a little.
I kind of like the last one. It said Tyler gets yeeted, and it's at that dirt track that doesn't have a wall, and he got like side swiped and pushed basically over that barrier and went flying, and he come back on the track all smoking and everything. Pretty funny.
Yeah, that's a Lernerville track. And I have to admit, during some practice sessions when everybody was gone and I might have been the only car left, I've gone around that and seen how far I can launch myself off the backside, and you get some pretty good airtime on that if you really practice at it.
How far out will it let you go before it just kicks you to the pits?
It's actually it goes pretty far on the backside of that bank. It goes downhill pretty good ways, and then there's a fence. And my goal was try to clear the fence, and I've made it a few times. If you clear that fence, you get bonked back to the pit stall.
Seems like there was a theme with some of the pets getting involved.
Oh yeah, a cat literally jumped in a guy's lap and caused him to wreck.
What is with the field of view that is showing up in that replay? I just don't...
Yeah, I saw that too. I was like, nails on a chalkboard when I look at that.
Like, is he actually racing that way?
Appears so.
Because it looks like on the screen he is.
Yeah, that's scary.
The worst one is the Sebring accident. I'm sorry, but that was bigger than the big one at Daytona. That took out 90% of the field. And the editing, whoever edited this, obviously in the iRacing edit, did it perfectly. At one point, they put a camera on top of the pace car as it's going down pit road, watching these cars crash beside it.
It looks like the guy's trying to drive through the blizzard right now.
It doesn't make any sense. It just kept going.
Well, we got some news from Burton Kligerman Esports. Burton looks like he is walking. He is handing the keys over to Kligerman. And, yeah, so it's just going to be, well, we don't even know what it's going to be.
Actually, we do. He announced it maybe 2 hours ago, and he said it's Kligerman Sports is what it's called now, or Kligerman Sport.
Okay, yeah. According to this one here, it had many, new team name and many more announcements will be coming in the coming weeks. So we've got the new name. I guess we just await some, more new announcements coming up. But yeah, it looks like Burton's he's just had enough of the esports. He's off doing other things, getting busy with stuff.
It's almost like he was a silent partner. Like he
was very
He
silent.
never even talked about iRacing much in broadcasts and things like that. He just seemed like it was a background. Like Kligerman is like a face of iRacing too, right?
Well, Burton could have been doing, maybe just the business side and kind of coaching Kligerman through that part. Yeah, sponsors and yada yada.
What do they call Burton? The mayor? Isn't they call him the mayor?
Yep.
So he's good at dealing with people. So maybe that was part of his thing in the background.
Yeah, maybe just got things up and running for Parker, and then showed him the ropes, and then said, "That's good. Take over, son."
My guess is Kligerman didn't have the clout to actually start a team with just under his name. So they did it under Jeff Burton's name as well, give it a little NASCAR clout, and now that this team is established, Jeff's quietly backs away. That's my guess.
That's a good outlook on it too.
Yeah, seems pretty plausible.
Keep moving. We got Season 1, Patch 2, and this was released recently. What did you guys see? They fixed a bunch of stuff that was wrong with that 3D car viewer, a few things that were kind of not working with that. They updated some parameters on the AI, and a few other minor fixes. But the big thing about this release was that new BMW M4 is finally released. So this was announced 2 weeks ago. It finally has come out. Now, the real car isn't out yet. This is your chance to drive it before the real one comes out.
Yeah, and they had also, Mike, they had in here that some of those fixes for that Delara IR01 was the fixes they were talking about in the forums.
As well as the regular Indy car as well. They had, remember, a lot of changes with that, and they made some adjustments there.
Looks like they did a bunch of things for it. A lot of little minor fixes to each car. It looks like some of the Cup cars got some adjustments too for running Darlington.
And it's under the Cedar Lake Speedway. It says it fixed a wall snagging issue on the front stretch cutout, which we talked about earlier. Yep.
Looks like a Brad's Hatch hat for the rally had the same problem. So Tyler Hudson posted a reminder in the forums that businesses and individuals are prohibited from using iRacing forums for soliciting members for business or personal gains without becoming an iRacing official partner. So this is just a reminder. Probably they got to do every once in a while just to let people know, or somebody complain maybe that they were being solicited for some products or something, but it is a rule that you have to be either affiliated with iRacing or you can't do it.
So I think this is in response to the multitude of setup shops that have sprung up that have been spamming the forums, trying to sell setups. I think that's what this is. Now, apparently it's always been a rule, but now they're going to police it. They've been very lax with it. I was kind of wondering, how does the podcast fit under this? I don't think it does, because we don't actually ask people to pay money for our product.
We're just asking them to come listen.
Listen, right. So I think we are exempt from this rule.
I don't think it's no different than you're going to say, someone come look at this video, right? You post a video and say, come look at it. Our thing would fall under that category, I would believe.
Well, in the forums, there was some discussion about, well, hey, if you're just showing them a video, but you're making revenue from YouTube from the advertisements, does that count? And so there's, a lot of different factors involved in this. Is iRacing really going to police it? I think if you're trying to sell computers and equipment and setups and actually ask for money, I think that's when they're going to stop you.
I asked, I believe it was Nim was in a server one day, and just a couple of days before, somebody had said posting even your link stream, you could get protested for spamming and advertising. And I asked Nim when I threw up my stream link, is this okay? And he says, yes, we love promotion. So we promote iRacing quite a bit.
Yeah, we're a big promoter.
I don't think they would come after us for that reason.
Yeah, I'm not going to stop posting our show, which I do post once a week. That's it. And Tony, you also post once every 2 weeks your show. But that's it. We don't spam them more than that. And I'm not going to stop based on this post by Tyler. I don't think that we're charging and we're exempt.
I was going to say, there's also, David, with that Twitch problem or your stream putting it up, there's a whole thread based on trying to get guys to be hosting with each other and stuff like that in the forums, where you can find other members that stream and stuff. So they've created a whole area for that in general, to find people that do stream.
We need to network with that, get a few more viewers.
It's there. You can just people will host with you and everything. It's a whole community in there.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out to me. Learn something every day. What have we learned about the special events, Brian?
All right, so Greg Letts, he posted on the forums the 2021 special event schedule. I'm going to read through these real quick. The special events coming up, but there's also a couple that aren't on the list that I'd like to go over real quick too. First on the list, obviously, is Daytona, 24 hours of Daytona. The Daytona 500, of course, is in February. The Bathurst will be in February. The 12 hours of Bathurst, 12 hours of Sebring will be in March. There will be a throwback cup at North Wilkesboro. I think that's new. It's in the 87 cars, and that's April 11th. The Nürburgring 24 hours, it's April. The fixed Indy 500, there's a separate fixed and open Indy 500. And there's a Coke 600 in May. So I know there's a couple things not listed on that, like the Chili Bowl, which
it looks like it's incomplete.
2020.
It's half the year.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's got cut off or what, but it's still missing some of the events in the back half. But
Yeah, I think they just did a partial release because they weren't ready for everything.
Because they got Le Mans, Petit Le Mans, Bathurst 1000. There's a bunch of events that they always do that are missing at the back half, and like you're saying, the Chili Bowl's in there. There's got to be other stuff, right?
Yeah, this looks like it just goes through maybe the first half of the year almost. So some of the things that he mentioned that aren't on the schedule, I don't know if it's because it's later in the year or just hasn't been added to the schedule yet. There's going to be a 6 hours at Watkins Glen. There's going to be a special event at Knoxville, maybe the Knoxville Nationals for the sprint cars. I'm not sure about that, but that makes sense to me. And a winter derby. And they're going to also add for 2021 special events at Crandon, Suzuka, and Hockenheim. So looks like there's going to be quite a few special events on the calendar this year.
That 6 hours of the Glen had been gone for a year or two, and now it's back.
Yeah, that was IMSA cars, wasn't it?
Yeah, I just remember it was a big deal when they got rid of it last year. A lot of people were up in arms about it.
But if it's IMSA cars, it would be a little bit different. But the Endurance Euro Series, all of those races are 6 hours. So at that point, I don't know. It'll still be kind of special because it's an IMSA track instead of say Le Mans. And we have details actually on the first of those big events, right? The Daytona 24 Hours. It's going to be the new IMSA cars. So we got the LMP2, a lot of the GTs, and the two new GT3s that are in the class. It's going on the 22nd through the 24th. This particular part intrigues me. There's only 2 time slots this time. You remember how Le Mans went? Man, that they actually ended up doing 3 time slots for Spa.
Right.
So we'll see how that turns out.
Are we going to try the Friday night one, and then in case something goes wrong for the Saturday?
Man, that's January. That's just a bad question. There's no answer to that right now.
Yeah, we got a ways to go, but I told David we need to start planning here pretty soon.
Like I said, that's January.
Let's keep moving. We're running out of time. The $7,500 bump and run. I kind of spoke about this earlier when we were watching Mike Morley lead laps in this race with no front end. I actually don't know what happened to Mike, but he wasn't a factor at the end of the race. It ended up being Daniel Silvestri getting the bump and run from Parker Retzlaff, who won the $7,500 prize. It was not a bad bump and run. He didn't dump him. It just kind of moved him up a little. But prior to that final bump and run, there were lots of bump and runs. I mean, these people were playing pool rule, like bar rules, like you would play pool. Like there's no rules. Like if you got to the leader, you're dumping the freaking leader, and that's what happened several times in this race. It was very interesting to watch. When there's money on the line, people race differently.
Well, it was money, a wheel, and an Oculus Quest 2, I believe, were all. And I think there's an Oculus Quest 2 that was being... no, sorry, it was money. It was all money, and then the Oculus Quest 2 was the random draw.
Okay, and with that, we're going to skip to housekeeping notes. Don't forget the Aftermath and check them out. And don't forget our new website, iRacersLounge.com. In fact, you can find our show notes there now on a very mobile-friendly website. So it's real easy to listen to the podcast, and on your phone you can go through the show notes and look at the links that we're looking at as we talk about them. Try it. It's kind of a neat visual, audio, mixed experience.
And you can also follow along with us on Twitch now, Facebook Live, and our YouTube page.
That's right. Greg has got some nice video going of the podcast recording where you can see our ugly faces as well as the script. Don't Don't forget we're on the Performance Motorsports Network. And with that, we're going to jump to hardware briefly. Greg, your first one.
Our good old friend Barry Rowland is reviewing an advanced sim racing ASR6, which is, I haven't had a chance to watch this fully. It's obviously the rig. It's just a 80/20 rig, right?
It's an 80/20, yeah.
It looks like it's a pretty basic design. It looks pretty sturdy. I don't know from the quick here, I don't know if the seat that he's got came with it, or is it just the 80/20 portion of the rig is the ASR6 point of it?
My takeaway on this is it's a SimLab clone, and it's there in Canada.
Ooh. Well, that's a good thing.
That's a NRG Prisma seat. I recognize it. That's the same one I have. So I don't think that came with the rig.
So he was just putting something that he probably had on to that rig?
Yeah. Just like it doesn't come with the steering wheel and all that stuff.
It's $850 for the cockpit without the seat.
That's like 20 grand Canadian.
Yeah, it's kind of ugly.
But if you're buying it from a Canadian company, you don't have all that, right?
I wonder what's the website for them.
It's advancedsimracing.com. If you're on the YouTube page and you hit more, you'll get a link to it right below his list of times. But it's not a bad-looking 80/20 rig. Like I said, it's a SimLab clone, so to speak. I mean, how different is it from a SimLab? It looks pretty similar.
It doesn't have the same level of adjustability in the pedals. The pedal mount on this P1X is a little bit more advanced.
Yeah.
How did you determine it's from a Canadian thing, Mike?
How did I see that?
Because it's only giving options to change on the website in U.S. or Mexican pesos.
I saw at the top there's a link for the Canadian website, and then I clicked onto that, and it said free shipping in Canada.
Well, that's
all prices are in Canadian.
Here, I'm just going to I just want to see what the prices are.
Oh, yeah, I'm going to try it on the Canadian and see the price. So there it shows 750 Canadian. Or no, excuse me, 1,100.
Yeah, I was going to say.
For the ASR6.
That's crazy.
1,100? That's pretty high, huh?
That's pretty high for no seat and no... it's just a pretty basic 80/20 rig. You could probably buy those 80/20 parts and make your rig a lot quicker.
Okay, we're going to do one more hardware, Brian.
Yeah, this one is for the Pro Sim sequential shifter pre-orders. They are announcing that they're coming in next week, and they're going to be out for deliveries to start in mid-January. And they also have an H pattern that's a pre-order that you can pre-order for delivery, which will start in mid-February. So everyone on the waiting list will get an email about the pre-orders coming up. And if you happen to look at Barry's video right above it, it looks like he's got one of those Pro Sim shifters on that new rig he's got. So I imagine Barry might be coming out with a video on one of those shifters.
I think Joe, former teammate Joe Owens, has one of these as well.
Yeah. This is the shifter. This is what I call the holy grail of shifters. Because I don't think there's a better shifter on the market. Maybe the Frex, which we'll try to talk about next week. They have a new one. But, I mean, when Joe told me I want the best shifter on the market, this is what I told him to buy.
We also have on the script a Pro Sim rig, and it looks, I can't tell if it's wood or sheet metal of sort, but it's designed basically to be a driver training rig with gigantic monitors. The Formula Evolution one is pretty big. They got an Evolution 2 that is also designed for Formula, where you're really laid back. They had the GT. I searched for a price, couldn't find one.
Yeah, these shifters I don't think have been available recently, and so now is the time to get these things pre-ordered if you want them, guys. They have several different options to pick from. If you look at that, the second picture, the one in the back, that's the original one. And so you can see there's some different ones. But just a big heads up on that. And with that, we're going to jump into results or next. And obviously, we didn't run the NIS because we're off season, but let's go into other official racing. I will start with ARCA. Why did I run ARCA? Wow, I want to build my iRating a little bit. I lost so much of it running the sprint car and the 87 Legends. I've lost about 1,000 iRating, so I want to get back to where I was. So I thought, well, I'm going to go back to basics. I'll go to ARCA at Atlanta. And, boy, that was a mistake. I kept pushing in turn 2 and having to lift on the exit of the corner. I was quickly heading backwards. I later accidentally doored a guy. I didn't mean to. He actually threatened to protest me, too, but I don't think he did. Near the end, a lapper took out the leaders, and so I was able to finish 5th somehow and gain some iRating. But that was a lucky, and I probably won't try that again. I also tried the same thing with the Ferrari GT Challenge at Oran Park, thinking I'd jump in there and score some iRating, but didn't even finish the race. I got wrecked several times, and the incidents were piling up, and so I just got out before it got worse.
I did get to run a couple of races so far at Sebring. It's one of my favorite road courses. And the first time I ran, didn't get any practice time in. I was very late getting back home Monday. Tuesday, or the second race, snagged a win. So that's the 86 career win.
And I did update your profile page with that win.
You're slowly catching me, David, with career. Is that road career wins, or is it all
overall? That's overall.
Yeah, so you're slowly catching me.
Okay, let's talk unofficial. Man, that Coke Raceway. Well, I think I'll always call it Coke Raceway, but yeah, the iRacing Super Speedway is what it's called. I ran about 6 races in a row. I wrecked out of each. In one, I was actually leading while wrecked. I love it, love it, love it. And I pretty much have been telling everybody, this is a new style of racing that we've never done before. It's not restrictor plate racing like Daytona and Talladega like you would think. There is no restrictor plate on these cars, and you get these huge, huge, huge runs. And it's so wide that you don't have to stop when you have a run and, wait behind somebody. You just go around them. And it is so fun. And they start 60 cars at a time. And so with 60 cars on a 3-mile track, and with all that coming and going, there was, so many people get runs, and they keep them with the draft, and then there's other people that don't have runs, and it's just always traffic because of that. The other cool thing is wrecks are self-clearing because of that huge banking. So you see a wreck up in the turn 1 and 2, you just go high because you know they're going to slide down the banking. And so it keeps the race in motion. The track doesn't block up usually. So it's a lot of fun. It really is.
I'm just showing all our viewers your Instagram post of the 28th to 1st.
Yeah, so the next day I ran several times with several almost wins. I actually led the most laps in one race. I put together a nice TikTok that ended up on Instagram of 28th to 1st in 5 laps, just to kind of show you how freaking awesome this track is. And I'm excelling at it. I can get to the front just like I can at Daytona and Talladega, no matter what. And I don't know if I'm doing something different than everybody else, but check the video on TikTok and find out for yourself.
That apron, though, man, you touch the apron and you get launched up 3 lanes.
One note about steering ratio on this track. I immediately went to 14, 16 steering ratio because I'm thinking restrictor plate track. But the way that this track is designed, when you get into the banking in that corner, you turn the wheel really sharp, really fast when you first hit the banking, and then that's it. and the turning kind of settles after that. And what I found is that having the 14 or 16, I wasn't able to turn the wheel fast enough to make that turn, and I would slide up the track. And so the default setup was that 10-to-1 ratio. I ended up going back to 10-to-1, and it made it where I was smoothly getting into the banking, and I wasn't drifting up at all. And so that was a scenario where the 10-to-1 actually works.
I'm wondering, looking at that track, I don't know, Brian, have you tried that track with your ocean rig?
Yeah, it's actually pretty smooth. It's good.
Does it dive when you go, dive down into the corner when you go into the corner?
No, not really. I mean, not any more than it does at any of the other restrictors. I can tell you one thing though. If somebody gets a run on you and pushes you, it gives you a big jolt in your seat. So that's pretty cool.
There's so much downforce on these cars, you can really push them. I mean, you can get a huge jolt from behind without wrecking. Now, by Sunday night, I actually finally won a race. Okay? And so I did the donuts. I finally got a win. I wanted to be the first one on the team to win at this track, and I pulled it off. And really pleased about that. What not pleased about was come Monday when the new season 1 starts, guess what? I can't find a race with this racetrack. Nothing. They don't have anything to run with this racetrack. And I was telling the team, I can't believe I just bought this track, and a week later, there's nowhere to run it. Well, I found it a few times and hosted, and ran a few hosted ones, but I'm surprised that iRacing doesn't have a way to put this track on Carburetor Cup or something.
Has there been any forum posts about it or anything?
I haven't seen anything. No.
It's week 5 Carburetor Cup.
They are added it, but maybe my thinking is maybe they should have added it week 1 because it's new.
Week
right?
1 or 2.
Yeah.
It could have been week 2 because of it being added late, but yeah, I agree with what you're saying there, Mike. It probably should have been early just to keep the hype up, right?
Right. I was still hyped, man. I just got my first win on Sunday night. I'm ready to go back and get some more, and stack them up. But
January
there's nothing
12th.
to run.
You can get it January 12th. It's 3 times this season in Carburetor Cup.
Yeah, week 8 has it as well.
They keep growing that Carburetor Cup series. It's going to be 12 different events.
They need to get
It almost needs an official version. They're hitting in Pocono.
They used to have a Pocono, I thought.
The Michigan's the shortest track.
Michigan?
No, there's a Charlotte.
Yeah, it's Charlotte, Michigan,
Monza, Alley, Daytona.
and then the new iRacing Speedway.
Okay, so let's talk about leagues and the Winter League. I got a DNF. I was wrecked on the first caution. I was going straight down the backstretch, 12 inches off the wall, and a guy is trying to side draft me or something. I don't know. And he hooks me. And the car was too damaged, and it made it loose to drive, and I was just kind of upset that I didn't even get a verbal or any kind of apology from that particular driver. I looked at the replay multiple times. I didn't budge. I was at the straightest line you could have, and he just came floating up into me like he was trying to side draft or something. Anyway, pretty irritated. That was Pocono, and then David, you ran as well.
I did. I had good long run speed again. I couldn't qualify, but within the first fuel run, I was up into the top 15. And it was a pretty clean race, only those 2 cautions. A lot of fast guys in there. But I brought it home P12. It broke my 7th place streak that I had going, but I did jump up to P5 in the points.
Wow.
And it's... I looked at the point standings and I looked at the names around and just it almost felt surreal. I was like, huh?
There's some heavy hitters in this league.
Justice is the point leader. 6th place is Christian. He had a bad start to the season, and so after 6 races, not 2, but 6 races, I'm sitting in front of Chandler and I'm like, yeah, he's had some bad luck. And a lot of he ended up not being around me much in the race, but Hermie Sadler's been running this league, and I was just thinking, hey, it's not like it's an honor, it's a joy to get to run with guys that you rooted for, see them out on the track, still doing the thing they enjoy, even though they've outgrown it as far as real life.
Herbie was in the back, and when I was still in the race, I was actually racing against him side by side and whatnot, and we were trading spots. And like you said, it's a privilege to be able to race Hermie Sadler. I'm so happy to be a part of that. That was fun. OBRL.
Yeah, so Monday night OBRL was ARCA Series at Iowa Speedway. I talked a little bit about this when I talked about saving tires and stuff, but so I actually qualified second, and like I said, I was right there with the leaders. Every long run we had, I was stayed right in the lead pack. I could actually, if I lost a little bit of space because I missed a turn or something, I was able to close back in. So I was right there looking to have a really good finish. And then what happened was we had short splitted a long green flag section. Me and one of the other leaders was right in front of me, and so we got back out on the track. And the guy who was in front of me, who was in the top group, I guess he was closing in real fast on a lap car, or a car that hadn't come into pit yet, so he was a little bit slower, and he wound up turning him into the wall, and I T-boned right into that guy, so it kind of ruined my day at that point. But it was one of those good day, bad day things where, you go through a race and you realize that, you can run with the top guys, but it just didn't work out that way in the long run.
Keep chipping away at it, it'll come around. And
by the
then
way,
there was the Truck Series sponsored by the Aftermath, right?
The Truck Series was on Wednesday night at Nashville. And also, sorry, I wanted to add real quick at the Monday night race, Aaron Chris Scales got P3, so he was on the podium that race.
Nice run.
So the truck race was at Nashville. I literally bought Nashville like 2 days before this race came, so I didn't have any practice. I worked late on Tuesday, practice night, so I didn't really do too bad. I was running with the lead group. There was a lot of cautions just because of the short track racing, I guess. I wound up, I turned a guy who was in front of me, and the OBRL rules is if you turn a guy, you have to do a self-policing lap. So I wound up doing a drive-through on the pit lane, went down a lap. I raced back to be in the lucky dog position, and everything was looking like I was going to get back into the thick of things, and then I got caught up in a car that got loose coming off of turn 4. The truck got loose, hit the inside wall, came up the track, and that pretty much ended my night there.
I forgot to mention, I didn't run Monday Night Winter League because they were at Nashville, and I didn't have the track, and I didn't want to buy it, so I skipped that one this week. Another one I skipped was Eucora, the Snowball Series. It was the Lime Rock Radicals. David, you ran it.
Yeah, it's more like I walked it, maybe. I was the slowest car, and I had something else that I needed to go take care of, so after giving up that I was going to make anything up, I parked it. I just could not run that car at that track and keep up with any of those guys.
Those guys are masters on the road. So now what I did, instead of racing, I joined Scott Rupp from Midwest Simulations in the booth on the podcast. In the booth on the broadcast, and had some fun calling the race with Scott. I showed up a little bit late because I was getting dinner and stuff, but Scott was by himself in the booth, so he was very appreciative to have somebody to talk to, and we had a good time. In fact, I'm going to join Scott tonight to broadcast again the Eucora Snowball Series at where is it? Thompson?
Yeah, we're going back to the ovals, which is good for me because that's where my strength is.
So Radicals at Thompson. That's going to be fun. So I'm going to join Scott for the broadcast, and after watching Greg and Tony and Chris doing broadcasting, I've got the bug again, I guess, and I had a good time with Scott, so we're going to try it again. And with that, we're jumping to final thoughts. Brian McCubbin.
All right, guys. I would like to give a shout out to everybody on this podcast, because we are going through a lot of changes the past couple weeks. All of it is designed to make the best product we can get for everybody who's enjoying the show. Greg's been doing a ton of work on the video side. Dave's always really good on these on the audio stuff. Tony's been great with the merchandising and sponsorship program, and Mike's been really kind of spearheading this effort to get this website designed and working right. And man, I'm really proud of everybody. It's coming together really well. We've put a lot of work into this. We all have regular jobs and a life of some kind or another, and so we're working really hard for all you guys who are listening to this show to make it as the bestest show possible, make it easiest for you to enjoy, and to join us in our support and love of iRacing.
Yeah, thank you, Brian. It's all due to gridfinder.com, guys. I mean, what a great partner to have that really has kind of spearheaded a lot of these changes. I mean, we wouldn't have the website if it wasn't for GridFinder. And so that's kind of prompted me to step up our game. I've been wanting to put that website out for a long time, and now it's out. I hope you listeners check it out. David Hall, final thoughts.
2-week vacation coming up. You know what that means. I'm going to aim for another 7-win week. We'll see if we can pull that off. Go watch our streams. I don't know. There's like 5Ks in Greg's title, and I've got 1 X in mine.
Or just go to Tifosi Racing, and you'll find it.
Yeah.
I haven't even made my stream back up because I've been trying to get this one going.
All right, David, thank you. And then Greg Hector's final thoughts.
Well, my time's been spent trying to produce this show in the background here while doing these topics and trying to be part of it. I don't know if I'm producing the show, I don't know how much more I can do on the show, but this building of the stream has been it's been challenging for what I've had to try and do with it, but it's also been something I've learned a lot from, which I'm going to add to my streams as I go. So I just look forward to seeing how much more I can get done with this, and I'm looking forward to David and I doing the MTech race this weekend at Phillip Isle. That's going to be a fun race, and it sounds like as of Wednesday next week, I'm off till about the 4th of January, so you know what that means.
Yeah, good job on the video stream of our recording of the podcast. I think it's great because it gives our listeners some additional options of how to consume this. Instead of an audio podcast, hey, you can watch us on YouTube. You can go to Facebook, whatever.
Apparently the Twitch is having a problem tonight, so I'll have to look into that, but I'm thankful for our listeners and viewers that have let me know that Twitch is having a problem, and I saw it that for some reason it's coding itself out.
It basically looks like Twitch is on mushrooms or something.
Psychedelic.
Okay, and then Tony Groves, final thoughts.
Well, I got no racing to talk about, but we do have an episode of The Aftermath coming up this Saturday. And we have Peter Cocoa Puffs from the OBRL coming on, and we're looking forward to being able to talk about his very first win in the OBRL series, and also to get another take on the ladies of iRacing, because he does a lot of the behind the scenes stuff to get those races broadcasted and running as smooth as possible. So we're all really excited to have him on this week and kind of pick his brain about everything, OBR route, the broadcasting stuff, and most definitely his first win. I know that's a huge accomplishment for him.
Hey, when you talk to him, Tony, can you thank him for thinking of, or between Chris and you guys, thanking him for letting me come on the broadcast?
Yeah, absolutely.
Isn't he the guy that looks like Hannibal from the A-Team?
Yeah, I was a huge A-Team fan when I was a kid. I had to kind of search the deep recesses of my brain to bring the picture up, but yeah, I think that's about right.
Yeah, are we talking OG? Are we talking OG or the movie?
I'm talking the old, TV episode style. Okay, so my turn. Final thoughts. Man, I'm at a weird place in iRacing right now where I don't know what to run. Here we are in Season 1. There's no NIS. Normally that's what I run. So what am I going to run? Well, I tried that. I ran ARCA. I failed. Bad. I ran the road course, the Ferrari GT Challenge Fixed. I failed. And it seems like everything I jump in, I'm just losing iRating wholesale amounts. And so I'm almost scared to jump into something. So I've been kind of looking at hosted, and I've been kind of looking at leagues, and I have a few different league things I'm doing, but looking at hosted a lot, especially for that iRacing Super Speedway, trying to find some races there. I'm kind of surprised the lack of hosted events for that track, but maybe I'll put one up. I don't know, but with that, if you have some ideas about what I should run, maybe I need to get into dirt again. I was thinking maybe I'll get on the pro truck or the rally car or something like that, but I don't know. I'm still at a loss. We'll figure it out, and with that, we'll see you on the track later.
User in your channel stopped recording.
All right, title ideas.
User in your channel stopped recording.
I like number 3. What do you think?
Bring up the list. Yeah, that was a theme.
I like Vroom Vroom Shroom, but 3's more